Peace and blessings, everybody. Love and light. Thank you for coming out. We are counting down the days till the state budget is due. And here in the city, we are anxious to see whether the state will act to close the devastating budget gap left by the previous administration. And when we're talking about the budget, we often talk about the few people in the room and making decisions for us. The budget process is often opaque, and the potential trade-offs and implications can be very difficult to navigate. When I was in the council, I would always say the most important thing that I did was the budget. Unfortunately, the budget is also the thing that people understand the least. And that gives power to the few. Rich donors to try to build our budget behind closed doors. But the one thing that, but now you can do it right from your phone, from your tablet, from your computer. It puts you in the room as well. That's why today my office is releasing a new tool to let New Yorkers build a budget. The BuildABudget tool lets New Yorkers experiment with ways to balance the city's budget. The BuildABudget tool is accessible. It's an interactive way for people to visualize the way the city's money is spent, where it comes from, and what goes into ensuring that it is balanced without slashing city services. After balancing their budget, New Yorkers can submit to the Public Advocate's office their responses, and it will be compiled, reviewed. Unfortunately, just like the real budget, it starts with a multi-billion-dollar deficit that you have to fill. The good news is that there's a way to fix the problem in the platform and in real life. Unfortunately, so far the governor refuses to make the rich pay their fair share, but you can let her know you support it with flipping a switch. There are several revenue-raising options that we're going to show you a little bit on the tablet, including the Fair Share Act, which simply says allow us in New York City to tax people an extra 2% who make over $1 million, just in New York City. We have the New York City corporate tax that can be increased to match the corporate tax in New Jersey. Reduce the NYC pass-through entity tax, basically a program that was created after the SALT tax changed how people can write off their taxes in the federal government. Wealthy people can now pass through their income through a corporation and pay no taxes on it. And so this goes from 100% to 75%. They can implement a pay-to-tear tax, basically increases certain high-value properties where there's no permanent residents, people who have second homes, for instance, on Park Avenue here in New York City. And we can support funding the Class Size Matters mandate with an extra $1.5 billion. As the city budget moves forward, this tool will show that there are no easy ways to build a budget, but the governor and the state right now can make it a lot easier by passing these wildly popular efforts. It's my hope that this tool for education, engagement, and advocacy, and while the budget isn't a game, the tool is actually kind of fun. You get in there and play with it. It's not just asking what we can afford to do, it's making clear what we can't afford to do. And what I always tell folks when it comes to these kind of discussions, we either have to raise revenue or cut something. And those are very tough decisions. Sometimes they're in the abstract, and you may not understand it when you're not in the room, which is most of us, or you hear it on TV. And so this tool will now give you an opportunity to figure some stuff out. So you can go on your Surface or your iPad or your phone. You can see here, here's where you can raise revenue. You start off with about $4.8 billion, about $5 billion deficit. And here are the things that the state can do. And if we just did a couple of them, like 2% income tax increase on the residents owning $1 million, you get $3 billion. You still have some deficit. $3 billion. If you raise the in-corporate taxes to match what's in Jersey, you still have a slight deficit. If you do the pay-to-tear tax, $700 million, that deficit is now gone, and you're actually in a surplus. If you did all of the things, you'd be in a major surplus. I'm going to take this off now and go to the spending side. There are places that you can go in and cut. It's going to be very difficult because you're usually cutting into the bone. But I know people are mad at elected officials a lot. So if you go just to elected officials, and we go down to the Public Advocate's office, let's say you don't like the Public Advocate's office and you want to zero them out. You want to take away all of the money from the Public Advocate's office. Let's go. If you zero that out, it doesn't even change the deficit. That's how minuscule it is. And what you will see, even if you zeroed out all of elected officials all across New York City, you'll still have about a 4-point-something billion dollar deficit. And so it really takes the things that you hear abstractly in the news, and it makes you make some tough decisions. My hope is that you'll join me in telling the state that they should give us the ability to raise revenue. If we don't, you got to go ahead and figure out what you want to cut, what services that are going to be harmful to New Yorkers. And so really, the decisions you have to make, are we going to raise revenue from the wealthiest New Yorkers, or are we going to have to make a decision that cuts services to the people who will be hurt in New York? This is, the governor likes to talk about you don't want to raise taxes on people. Somebody's going to pay. It's going to be either the wealthiest or the rest of New Yorkers. But go in here, have some fun, learn about what you can do and can't do, and let your elected official know what you want them to do, because they're in that room, and this helps empower you with knowledge. So next up, we're going to hear from Charles Kahn, the strong economy for all.
Thank you so much.
I'll give you a hand clap.
Appreciate it. So I first just want to start by thanking the Public Advocate's Office for putting this tool together. I've had the pleasure, sometimes displeasure, over the last 12 years of working on the state budget. And one thing that no one has ever said about the New York State budget is that it's easy to understand. And so at a time when there's so much misinformation and there's so much at stake, $252 billion state budget, a tool like this is truly priceless. It puts New Yorkers in the driver's seat in being able to make their own decisions. And sometimes in the political discourse, we talk about taxing the rich or cutting this or cutting that, but it's really common sense. And I'm confident that if people take a look at this tool, they'll have an opportunity to sort of look at what's at stake. And I think the solutions are common sense. And there's really two paths that we have, right? We're about a week, maybe 2 weeks away from the New York State budget being done. And there's a path that the governor wants to go on, and there's a path that most New Yorkers and the legislature have put forward. The first is a path that taxes the rich, that asks the wealthy in New York State and New York City to pay a little bit more of what they owe. And that path raises the type of resources that we need to have nice things like healthcare, nice things like childcare, nice things like schools with small class sizes, right? Or trains that work. That's one path, right? And it's the path that protects us from the attacks that the Trump administration and Congress have sent New York's way. The path that protects people that are at stake of losing their health care, the path that protects people that are at stake of losing their SNAP benefits and their food assistance. That is one path. And the other path is a path that forces austerity. It says we're going to protect the billionaire Epstein class from paying what they owe, and instead we're going to force the working class and low-income New Yorkers that are day-to-day struggling to figure out how are they going to make ends meet to bear more. Right? One path says the rich have a lot. They're reaping record profits. We have more billionaires in New York State than we've ever had. We got over 1,000 new millionaires just in the past year. Asking them to pay more is one path, and the other path is asking working class to do more. And so this tool helps folks across New York City to be empowered, to be advocates, to be empowered, to be informed and educated. And I think that's what we need right now in this final stretch of the state budget, to make sure that our public servants and our elected officials in New York State and New York City really are hearing from folks and understand that they are informed and educated when they're making those demands, so that we end up choosing the right path. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. And as I mentioned, the state budget should be done by April 1st. It probably won't be, so we probably get an extra week. That's $252 billion on the state level. Here in the city, it's about 127 billion dollars just right here for the city. So this tool asks the question: how will you spend 127 billion dollars in the city? And from that money in the state, can we raise some revenue so we don't have to make some tough choices? So please get on your phone, get on your tablet, get on your computer, advocate.nyc.gov. advocate.nyc.gov/BuildABear, or if you can, you're able to get this little QR over here. What did I say? I sounded old?
You said build a bear.
Oh, BuildABudget, my bad. BuildABudget /BuildABudget. You can go build a bear if you'd like. Just go to BuildABudget first and build a budget. Let us know what you think. So appreciate everybody coming out. Any questions?